Hello, my name is John Sveck, and welcome to the ALL24 SHOW. Really special guest this time that joined Coach Waterman and myself. We had a conversation with Coach Dennis McPhee, one of the great football coaches that we have in Canada. I had the pleasure of having Coach McPhee actually coach myself in my last year of university football, and we've crossed paths many times, and it's always a pleasure talking football. What do you think, Coach Waterman? We had a great discussion with Coach McPhee there.
Yeah, and like you, Coach McPhee coached me at one point in university level, and I tell you, he is definitely an inspiration. He's a guy that's an expert in his craft. He's a great motivator. In talking through that episode with them, there were so many nuggets there, I think, for people that they can utilize in their own coaching world. So it was a great episode, and I enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah, one of the real pleasures of doing this is getting on Zoom calls with guys like Coach McPhee and genuinely learning a lot about the game and about coaching. So really a pleasure, and here's the episode. Well, it's great to see you, Coach, and great to have you on, and we really appreciate your time. And just to see you and during these times, it's a real pleasure. So thanks for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure, John. It's good to see you again.
Absolutely. And just to get right into it, I'm very excited to talk some football. I know you're a guy that we've had a lot of good football talks over the years, and Coach Waterman and I will call you up from time to time if we are trying to work through a defensive question we have. So this is really exciting to get you locked down here for a little bit of time and talk some football. So the place I want to start is with some pass rush. I hope that's okay with you. I think it might be.
That's fine.
And my first question would be, when you think back to some of the great pass rushers that you've worked with, and there's been a few really stellar ones, what do you think the best pass rushers have in common with each other?
It's a good question. I would say, first of all, they all have, they've all had different attributes. I was blessed to have some wonderful guys, both in the pro level and at the college level. And, I would say the biggest common denominator behind them all was two things. One, they were very proud to execute their assignment. And two, they were relentless. They never stopped. They endeavored to try not to take any plays off, and then of course the evolution grows from that based on how they see the game. So for example, Joe Mumford had a great get off, and he had so much fun playing. He took a lot of pride in his position and being the best, and he studied tape. Joe was very, very jovial and enjoyed playing the game, had a great smile, and everybody loved him. But when it came to play, he could get off the ball. He never stayed blocked. And I said, you can look at it as Hall of Fame induction. Some of the film on the internet that I talk about him, he was never on the ground. You couldn't get Joe on the ground no matter what. He never got help. You couldn't get your, he didn't stay blocked, and he could, he was never on the ground, and he was relentless to the ball. Adriano Belli at the tackle position was super athletic for his size. He was a big, strong guy. Had, and instead of being super athletic, he was a great combination of power and technique. I mean, he had the best pump move at any level in any league that I've ever seen. He was right up there to me with Reggie White, who's the best guy at the hump I've ever seen in my life. But Adriano was very good at it. And then if you go down to the college level, we've had some good pass rushers. We lost Tavius Robinson to the SEC this year, going to Ole Miss. But Tavius is still young in the position. But I'm relating this as a college player because he's 6'8" and he's 255 and he can run, but he plays with a great pad level. He's very smart. He's very coachable, and he uses his levers with his wingspan to his advantage, and you know, he's a nice combination of speed and power itself. So I guess in closing, John, I would say, you know, the big thing is teach the kids, find out what they're best at, try and you know, cultivate that, and then don't ask them to do things that they can't do. You know, if a kid is a power guy with you teach him a little finesse, and if a kid's a finesse guy, teach him a little bit of power, but don't take away the things that they've been blessed with, and you know, and make them understand the difference between you know, they have to understand a lot of things as a great pass rusher. One of them, you know, to put it in perspective, one of them is they need to know the personnel on the field. They need to know what the score is on the clock. They need to know what that team does from that particular section of the football field. You know, it's more than just getting off the ball and getting vertical and getting the ball run up your ass. You know, it's about understanding, you know, the score on the clock, the time remaining, personnel, down and distance, you know, what their tendencies are from certain parts of the field. And then those are all pre-snap deductions that they make. And then post-snap, it's where are their eyes? Why are their eyes there? And then it becomes, you know, your eyes, your feet, and your hands in that order. Play with your eyes first, your feet second, and your hands third, and then be relentless. Get going. Get upfield and get the quarterback on the ground. That's what we live by pretty much everywhere we've been, and we were lucky to have some great kids at Guelph this year, where they led the league in sacks, and they allowed the fewest points. So we were blessed to have great kids. We inherited some very nice kids, and we got some real good ones coming in.
That's phenomenal. And you kind of already started talking about what I was going to ask you next, because as coaches and a lot of coaches, you know, listening to this, what do you think some of the keys are then? And again, you already started talking about it, but when it comes to teaching and coaching those pass rushers, because, you know, some of those things, you get a guy to come into your program and he's already has a great get off or needs to work on that. And there's those intangible things. But what do you think we can do as coaches to prepare those players for being great pass rushers?
Well, also another great question, Jonathan. I would say assess what the kids can do, and then understand that it's not what you know, it's what they know. So it's not what you can do or what you did, it's what they can do and what they're capable of doing. So yes, you know, you gotta have a routine where because, you know, humans are creatures of habit, and they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over because they've been successful at it. So sometimes they can get rigid and stuck and not learn anything else. Their best move to me would be what we called, and we've done this at your place years ago in a clinic there, is their signature move. What, you know, but that move, you know, if the youngster is a great rip swim guy, let's say, and he can attack an edge and get around the corner, and you know, he can get skinny and get vertical, that's great, you know, and he's going to do that. But eventually he's either going to get chipped on the edge or chipped inside or cut or you know, the offensive line and the running backs get paid too. So they're going to, you know, study the film, and they're going to understand that this is what he's going to pull out at this time. So you don't want to take that away from a youngster or any great player, but you also want to refine it enough that he has more than one tool in the toolbox, you know, and so that he gets good enough to pull out a signature move when he needs it the most. You know, don't be ripping and swimming all day long when we need it in the fourth quarter, and we got to get you to take advantage. I mean, there's a ton of things. I went out and did the D-line in Winnipeg last year, you know, with Mike O'Shea, and you know, I got to spend some time with some great pass rushers that they had out there in the, you know, O-line or the D-line in Winnipeg, and we sat down and we talked about ironically, what I had was I took some film out there with me, and I went in and met with their O-line, and I said, the coach asked me to go in and speak to the O-line, so I did, and it's kind of unnerving because there's Bryant and the rest of those guys, and it's a big room, and an offensive line coach, Marty, that I didn't know very well at the time, and I said, well, I'll show you how we prepare for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offensive line, and I put up individual clips of each offensive lineman. Then I showed them a breakdown that that our athletes in Hamilton had a binder of every team in the league. So because it wasn't about me, because coaches coach and players play, we made sure that on Thursday mornings, Ted Laurent would run a D-line meeting with just the D-line. And it was the rookies would bring in breakfast, and my office was outside that D-line meeting room. And to have those guys in together, they'd already had the coach's perspective for 3 days. They didn't really need to hear me anymore. And I knew that, they were going to be playing. So I gave them the study sheets with a picture of each offensive lineman, and then what their run strengths were, what their pass strengths were, what their run weaknesses were, and what their pass weaknesses were. And then they discussed it amongst themselves. They filled out the forms. They put in their observations. They were 3-hole punch. They kept them in a binder. I showed this to the Winnipeg guys, and they went, I said, and I looked at, Bryant, and I said, we've come up with that you're a vertical kick slider, and if we can beat you to 45-degree angle that you're trying to work to, we'll do that. If we can do that, you can be a bit of a vertical guy, but you get nervous, and therefore you became a guy that was an aggressive short setter, and tried to stop a guy's charge before he got started. And the last part was very reticent to give up his outside arm, and will punch late. And it got quiet in the room, and we turned the lights on, and I said, how close are we? And he said, you're very close, coach. That's exactly it. So what's the point? The point is, if you can get your kids to study that stuff, their opponent that they're playing against, keep tabulature on what the guys are capable of that they're playing against. Understand that you don't want to take their signature away from them, their best move, but cultivate one or two more that they can use against their opponent. Then understand the difference between warm-up drills and position-specific drills. Have the kids jumping over bags and having kids jump over bags and running hoops and messing around at the beginning of practice. It's great to get warmed up, but I mean, if you want to talk specifically about pass rush, I mean, you gotta teach the kids what you want pre-practice, and you got to teach the kids position-specific drills in the inordinate, given an inordinate amount of time in indie period. You might get 10 or 15 minutes, so it has to be scripted, and you have to follow the script through the week and through the year, so that it evolves as the kids evolve talent-wise, and you slow down the script and slow down the ingredients that you're trying to put in until they get it. You don't move forward until they get it, and then have them. It does my heart good, and the kids know this everywhere that we've been, is when the coach or the position coach comes out and they're not all grazing, that they're working on stuff pre-practice together. Each unit's working on stuff whether it's the DBs working on opening up their hips and shuffling out and getting out of their back pedal and turning and running, or it's and not just playing catch and throwing the ball around. If it's the linebackers working on form and fit and where their eyes are pre-snap and post-snap and just going through the motions, whether it's Jonathan, as you say, the D-line comes out and you want them to work on a specific move, and you put it on the board in practice, pre-practice, and they say, coach is going through this today, or you say the day before, we're working on this again tomorrow, so that when you come out of the dressing room and you look over on the horizon, they're not just standing around chewing the fat, like they're working on their craft. You know, and then you can come out and throw gasoline on it and get them to speed up a little bit. But, you know, until they get it, you know, they gotta crawl first, they gotta walk second, they gotta run third, and don't ask them to do things they can't.